after seeing this fairy, I suddenly spoke out loud a desire I didn't even realize I had been carrying so deeply. And it was like the wish to truly experience connection with the fairies. And as I said that aloud, I broke down in tears. And it was like
Yes, and many children see them too. About 75% of the world's children today are being born with etheric vision. And when your children talk with people and have daydream playmates, the chances are they are actually speaking to some of these people. Because these angels or angelic forces or nature spirits, as they're often called, will often make themselves seen.
And all of a sudden I hear him go, whoa, or, something like that. So I look up. And as I look up, I see this thing.
And I said, I've never seen a butterfly like you before.
I know that the paranormal is real. Listen.
As soon as I spoke to it, it turns around and makes eye contact with me. And then it stands upright.
And it was at that moment that I saw it was like an orange light appear above this row of trees. From this sort of orange light, this thing appeared. Its wings were actually like sycamore leaf shaped.
And I started talking to them. I'm like, hi, are y'all the dwarves? And I would hear whispers that would say, hi, yeah, you want to play? And it wasn't just my imagination. And I had told them, I'm like, my dwarves, they like beer, And my dad's like, yeah, sure, your dwarves like beer. And they were holding a conversation, and his beer slid upwards instead of downwards, how the house was tilted. And him and my brothers jumped up.
So I stopped calling out Adam, and I'm just my mind draws a blank, and I stop behind that tree stump. I'm pretty close to it now because I took a few steps forward, and I see this thing.
Welcome everybody tonight to Fascinating Fae. Tonight, we're traveling to Ecuador to talk with Hanneke. Hanneke, how are things going in Ecuador tonight?
amazing. I'm in a magical place called Vilcabamba. It's actually a blue zone where they say that people live longer here. And the air is so clean, the nature is so beautiful. So I'm really happy here.
That's awesome. And, you mentioned that blue zone thing. It's weird because I was just looking up some information about where I live in Costa Rica, and I think I've got the same thing going on where I am.
Oh, that's interesting.
Isn't that interesting that both you and I are drawn magnetically to such a place?
For sure. The food is also so amazing, and the fruits are so, oh my gosh, so delicious. Everything is just very organic and clean and pure. So yeah, I'm at the right spot.
Okay, well, that's unusually intimate start to a Fascinating Fae episode. What I usually do, and what I'll do now, if it's okay with you, is I'll spend 2 minutes doing my standard introduction to the show, if that's all right with you.
Of course.
And that's not to say that I do not want to talk about how amazing the fruits are here in Costa Rica all day too. I'm right there with you. But out of respect for the audience and the process of the show, which is to try to create appeal for anyone tuning in for the first time, I'll just do my my intro here.
Sure, go ahead. Yes.
So Hanneke, as you know, here on Fascinating Fae, we do not attempt to convince anyone of anything. That's sort of order of business number one. And that's done for the simple fact that the fairy phenomenon is difficult to get your head around if you're not experienced or initiated. And so speaking your truth shouldn't come with the burden of having to sort of convince the listener of the truth. So we don't put emphasis on that on the show. I think that opens up the show to allow for myself and the audience to hear what's really going on. And I'd just like to remind you and everyone listening of that when we start. The other thing I say is that it's brave to come on the show. And, you know, lately I've been doing fewer episodes because I needed to take a little break from the show myself. For the same reasons I tell everyone it's brave to come on the show, I suffer the same sort of double-edged sword that the show gives, which is that it's cathartic to come on the show and to hear other people's experiences and to, for me, you know, to host and receive these experiences. But the high strangeness is somehow difficult to integrate still for me and for many of the show's listeners. So bravery coming on the show is about putting your voice in that, you know, in that pile and, you know, adding to the group effort of understanding and, you know, having the bravery to do that without, you know, fearing judgment or fearing that, you know, you're not going to be taken seriously. It's brave to come on the show. It's not a platitude, and I do say it to everyone. So, you know, I want to say that to you again here before we get started.
Thank you for saying that.
It's tough to talk about fairy stuff. It's just tough to do, but it's so worth it. So here we find ourselves. And finally, you know, the way that I conduct the show is that I like to give as much space and time to my guests as they are the most important part of the show each time it happens. So for that reason, I'm not going to interrupt you very much once you're in your flow of storytelling. In this particular case, we can start talking about how we both originally started communicating, which is around an amazing video that you've shared with me. So we can kind of ease into that there, but I know that there's lots of things that have happened since then that you could talk about as well, and I hope we find some time to do that. So with all that said, what I'll ask you to do here tonight, if you'd be so kind, Hanneke, is just ease myself and the audience into, you know, how we started chatting and this video that you originally shared with me. If you could kind of get into that, that would be amazing.
Yes, it would be a pleasure. So I guess it's almost, yeah, you told me it. I'm really bad with time actually to remember dates and when it exactly was. But for me, it all started with the Fae in October 2025. And I guess we connected with each other already a while ago. And yeah, the very first encounter what I had on video, I've shared that one with you. And it's actually, after many other encounters, the one which still is the most fascinating to me. As as the fairy comes through that clear on that video.
And it's here right now. I can totally feel that thing
Wow.
as we're talking.
Wow.
How
can you?
Sorry,
how do you notice it?
I don't. And it's okay. So what happens is like as you're talking, it's just it's still occurring right now. I'll try my best to give it a voice. So as you're talking, I'll feel like an almost. I mean, for sure, it's a perceptible temperature shift, and it gets cooler.
Oh, That's interesting because I'm so warm.
Different people experience it different ways. For me, it's cooling. And then like, it's almost like something is just brushing past me, and my goosebumps started at like kind of my ankles there, and then went up my leg, up my chest, across my across my chest into my right arm. And then I get this kind of like if you've ever ridden on a roller coaster and you go over, you're climbing, and then you go over and you get that little like, ooh
Oh,
feeling,
yeah,
you know?
yes.
Or if you're in an elevator that drops too quickly, you get that little bit of like a whoop. So that happens too. I get like a whoop.
Wow.
And then I know that the fairy that you're talking about is like right next to me, I guess, saying, go for it, keep talking. I don't know how else to interpret it. It's like, they're definitely into us talking about them. Otherwise, why are they showing up and making me feel so giddy? Okay, so what's going on with you? You said you're feeling warm. This is an interesting start to an episode.
I'm like sweating, and I didn't had any. I mean, I'm always cold, and the temperature here is just very normal. I didn't felt warm at all when we started talking with each other, and I'm getting so extremely hot. Like almost like I have a fever right now. Yeah.
Okay, like truly that video you sent me is lit up, and it's been a weird couple months for like fairy photography and video up in this Fascinating Fae enterprise. Good job everybody who's like sending in their contributions. And so anyway, let's just back up a quick second and kind of like, because this is too cool what's going on with both you and I right now. I'm sure that what you've got on video there is real fairy. As soon as I looked at it the first time, like a year ago, I was like, what the shit is that thing? The legs are too strange. The wings are utterly too strange. And then it's sort of like also what you're doing at the time and the way it's behaving is too strange. And so even going back then, I knew it. And then leading up to talking to you tonight, the computer started to act super weird. And as soon as we got into it there, we both got visited, is the way that I look at it. Frequent occurrence when producing these episodes for me.
Yeah.
And for the guests. You know, hang on to all your small, cherished objects. They might nick one tonight for all you know.
And if I may add something to this, Jim, I was like in the forest maybe 2 hours ago, and I had such a strange encounter with an owl. And I mean, there was like a bird just sitting on a branch looking at me all the time, like really staring at me. And I was like, you are an owl. But I was like, but I never saw an owl so small. So I was like, no, you can't be an owl. And it was during the day. So in my head, owls are active during the night, and they are quite big. And so I was like, no, you can't be an owl. And then it turned his head like an owl can do that, like on a very particular way. And it was just an owl, I was sure. And then I looked it up as I could see it so brightly, and I found out that it's a small owl. I guess the name is a reddish brown pygmy owl, and it was so strange to me. I never had that before, and I had to think of you as I know you are very connected with owls as well.
I got to tell you, as you're telling me that story, the goosebump pressure on my chest kind of feeling just got even more intense. What an interesting start to an episode. I don't know if it's because I took a bit of time off or whatever, and like I know you're very invested in this subject matter, and so am I. And so the episode commencement here seems to be totally, I'm actually having a little bit trouble composing myself here. Sorry. It's so,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to interpret what's going on around me here for a sec. Sorry.
Yeah, take the time. Same for me.
That's too cool about the owl. That's related, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, we're meant to have this conversation. That's also very clear to me right now. Okay, let me do my captain's job here as Captain Jim White. Back in my captain days, I'll steer this ship along nicely. Okay, so for the audience that doesn't know about this video, let's go back. Like, so before this video ever happened, what was your mindset around fairies or fae? Like, what were you doing when this video happened? Just kind of, sorry, just too many questions there. But before you ever took this video, what were you thinking about fairies? Anything at all? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks before this video. I was just sitting at my terrace. It was in Portugal. I had a beautiful house. I rented it there, and with a 360-degree view on a mountain, on the top of a mountain. And I spent almost every evening outside. The evening was very mild and calm and clear. And the sun had already set, and I was just lying on a lounge bed, listening to the silence and almost drifting into a dreamlike state, actually. And then completely out of nowhere, I saw a white, like fluttering light in the darkness. And immediately, without hesitation, I thought a fairy, which is really remarkable because I had never seen one before, nor did I consciously know what they looked like. So it was just a knowing, like, this is a fairy. And it was super, super short moment. It was just like a split second. It was just too large to be a butterfly, and it just lightened up in the dark, and it was zigzagging through the air, and it was impossible to track. And suddenly as it appeared, it also vanished. And that evening, this was the only time that I really could see it with my physical eyes. Afterwards, I never saw something anymore with my physical eyes. But it really opened up something for me. And but very, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm my least favorite thing to do is to interrupt a guest. I'm just listening to you tell this portion of the story about a few weeks before this video. And again, like, my goosebump type of response is off the charts. Truly, I think that's related as well to this narrative that you're sharing tonight. Okay, so you saw it and you immediately thought that's a fairy. And based on the description you just gave, and having done this show for 2 years and also going by my own visual encounter, yeah, they fucking move like that. They're so fast.
Yes, they do. And it was just, it was so weird, actually, as I couldn't really, I just saw something and I just knew it. It's a fairy. And I wasn't into fairies before at all. So it's kind of weird. It came up in my mind. And afterwards, I have a very strong analytical mind. So it took over, and I started trying to explain it away. Like maybe it was just an unfamiliar insect or something, like a glowing insect or something. But actually, deep inside, I just knew.
I love that you're talking about being analytical, because listen to me. I've come like so deep into this quagmire that I'm like talking about my goosebumps like it matters. But I am also analytical, and that is where I try to remain when I, in the grand like picture, am tangling with this stuff. But having said that, I am having one of the most difficult times yet composing myself talking to you out of two seasons so far, and I can't really figure it out. As you're talking about that stuff, I can almost like hear something laughing, like ha ha ha, no no no. As I give that voice right now, gee purse, yeah, you getting something over? Mm-hmm. So I'm
Yes.
actually hearing that. Ha ha ha, no no
Yes.
no, ha ha ha. Like it's
Yes. Yes, I do. Yes.
they're absolutely like hanging out on this one. And this is your crew for sure. This is your crew. I'm picking that up. These are not my usual gang members. Like sometimes I feel like I've got some thugs that roll with the Fascinating Fae crew. They're always wrecking audio and fucking up people's lives, playing tricks and stuff. But yours feel different. They're like very strong. Whatever fairy connected with you that day is super powerful. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. My goodness, yes. They had so much fun because of my analytical mind, because I did everything to put a label on them, like this is okay, this is this, and this is okay, here I see wings, here I see legs, and then they move like this, and so it has to be like that. And I just wanted to understand it, and they made so much fun of that. And I have so many stories about that I can share. So it's really accurate. You hear the laughing.
Wow, what a start to an episode. Either I suck and I'm like the worst podcast host ever, or Fascinating Fae is just like fucking awesome. I can never really tell. Like, I just don't really know how to categorize the experience of producing this show for the listener, other than to say I just keep doing them, but I never know what I'm going to get when I sit down to talk to somebody. It's like,
Yeah. I think it's amazing.
I think so. Yeah, it's amazing, but it's like, what on earth is, well, it's the exact same place I've found myself in this entire time, which is like, it's fascinating. What is it? Why would there be such a strong presence at the start of this episode with you is something that I'm starting to kind of ask myself in my head. Whereas I don't think I would have asked that question a year ago. I don't think I would have been prepared to like accurately perceive the event and to ask such a deep question. I think I would have still been stuck on, whoa, cool. This, man, like, I don't know if I'm getting downloads into my brain or what, but your fairy is, I think, simultaneously with me and you at the same time somehow is also what I'm perceiving.
Yes. Oh, now I get goosebumps while I'm sweating. I get goosebumps everywhere.
What's going on is there with you? However that's possible, I do believe that the scenario we're experiencing is that your fairy is simultaneously with you and I at the same time. And the power just went out in my house. Well, let me fix my microphone. Hello, check. Okay. Okay, are you still there?
I'm here.
All right. Okay. And again, what a great start to an episode. Let me do my best to try to maintain it its focus. So, okay, for myself and for the audience listening, I am right there with you. You are a deeply fascinating person to talk to. You did see a fairy that time on your terrace. And then a couple weeks later, you were making a video. I want to ask about these like times and you felt they were mocking your analytical brain and some stories that you alluded to in a second. Well, let's just kind of keep with this workflow here for a second. So this video, I've seen it, but no one else has. So let's talk visual things with audio. Describe what you were doing and what you later saw in the video, if you could, please.
Yes, yes. I think it's important to explain what happened after I saw this fairy with my physical eyes and before the video. So there was, after seeing this fairy, I suddenly spoke out loud a desire I didn't even realize I had been carrying so deeply. And it was like the wish to truly experience connection with the fairies. And as I said that aloud, I broke down in tears, and it was like touching something so ancient within me, and I didn't know how meaningful it was to me, and it just felt like everything, like as my life. And I said like, no worldly other desire, no, not having a romantic partner or whatever earthly desires you can have could compare to what this meant to me. So this was the deepest calling of my heart. And so I asked aloud, like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I want to experience this lifetime. Because this is what I've missing all my life, and felt like the pieces of my puzzle began to come together as I was always missing something. And then like 2 weeks later, I got like this video, very unexpected. So what was happening before this video, like the morning when I woke up, I was working on my new website, and I finished my new website the day before the video. And the morning that I woke up from the video, I had like a feeling like I wasn't satisfied about the website, and I was actually a little grumpy about it. And I was like, I don't know. And what is wrong with this website? Something is off. And then I saw like the picture I put on the website of myself. That wasn't the energy anymore, what I carried with me. So I felt, okay, it really felt like I had an Einstein moment, but it was just something very normal. I was just thinking, I have to make another picture of myself. That's it. That's the solution. And I felt so incredible happy with this idea. And it's very strange that this can give that joy, but it felt like that. Yeah, so what I did is, because I don't like these very static pictures of myself, so I decided to record a video instead. So I could move naturally and I could just take a new photo of myself. And I felt guided to wear a specific dress I had owned for a year but never worn. And everything flowed so effortlessly, the light, the energy, the joy. And while I was recording this video, I forgot I was recording, and I was singing and dancing and speaking light language. I was just super happy and in the moment. So that's how I came to this recording.
Fascinating. was curious as to what was going on in that video, because what you sent me originally was a slowed down clip. And I think at the time it looks like you are singing, or maybe just getting ready to just like say something happy, because you have a lightness to you that's obvious in even the slowed down portion. And then there, of course, is what's there. Would you describe okay, first of all, let me just ask a better question. Sorry, I try to do a good job hosting this show, but sometimes I'm just like, I forget that I'm doing a show. And I
But that's good. That's so natural.
I want to know what happened, but there's like a good way to ask so that it makes for a good listening experience for the audience too. Okay, when did you notice the fairy in the video? When did that happen? Like, because obviously when you're making it, you didn't notice it. When did you see it next?
Yeah, it was later that night. So the same day I recorded. I think it was beginning of the afternoon, and I watched the recording back later that night in the evening, and I was just reviewing the videos. And at first I noticed something just strange moving through the frame, and I was like, huh? What was that? Was that a bird? And I couldn't identify it. So I looked it back and I was like, oh, huh? I think I didn't count it, but I think I watched it back like maybe 100 times. And then it clicked. Actually, it just clicked in my system, like this must be a fairy.
Everything you're talking about leading up to the creation of this video, with kind of feeling like guided to wear a dress you haven't worn in a year and feeling like an effortlessness and a joy, I feel like that is related. And one of the things I try to dig into in the show is like, what were people doing that made the contact possible? I know in my circumstance, I was having a super happy moment when I saw my fairy. Same is true for a lot of people, but not exclusively. Some people can be having a super dark moment. So is it a volume level of emotion that does it? Or is it a particular kind of emotion that does it? I don't know, but it's clear to me that your fairy capture is somehow related to that, the stuff that you're talking about before. Yes. And the way you felt. And then also the fact that you're like watching it back 100 times. Fucking right you did. I would have watched that back 100 times too. That makes total sense to me. That does not seem illogical or irrational to me whatsoever. And it wasn't until you actually started to put some of the stills on Instagram that I really got a good look at the one where you can clearly see the legs, the wings, the body. And it's like, first of all, I mean, I just cannot taxonomically place those wings. It does not make sense. It does not look like a bat. It does not look like a bird. It does not look like an insect. It's a totally unique wing structure. And the position of the wings are like at the shoulder blades of this thing. Also, the way it's moving is off. It's so interesting.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that. It's like it's very. It shifts into something else because when I look at it, like maybe the first 4 frames, it looks like the fairy has a more like pink skin, and like later on, I think in the middle of the video somewhere, the fairy is standing and it's almost like she's dancing, and then like she just looks, she turns position and she just looks in front of the camera, and then at that frame her skin seems like totally black. Her head is like totally black, and it just I can't. I try to understand if this is the same fairy all the time, and now after I had many other encounters, I know they are like shifting form and color all the time, but this is it's still so weird to me.
I love that you just sort of clicked in your head like this is a fairy at one point after looking back at it like time 101, you know? And it's also interesting too that like when you saw with your waking eyes the super fast one on your terrace, you also kind of just immediately had that knowingness. I do think there's something to that intuition for anybody who's having an encounter. It's an utterly bizarre thing for your brain to come up with. You know what I mean? Like, so for it to happen is very affirmative and affirming, I guess is the right way to say it. So what happens next? So you for the audience listening, we will post some links to this video so you can see what we're talking about, so that everybody just stops pulling out their hair. Where is this picture?
That's a good idea.
And we'll get to, tagging your Instagram and stuff at the end. But let's just stay focused on your stories here because they're amazing. And the presence around producing this episode with you here is also amazing. I don't know what's up with you and your crew there, but this one fairy is just still here. It's the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
It definitely did show up in that video, in my opinion, based on both the reaction I have to that analytically and intellectually, and then also what's happening here now as I talk to you. Confirms my deep suspicions that that's a real video of a fairy. And so why this stage of the game in Fascinating Fae are all the fairies showing up on camera is super interesting to contemplate as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very interesting. Okay, that's enough out of me. Please forgive all my speculation and interruptions.
No, I actually like that. I like to listen as well. I know you are interviewing me, but I like to listen to you as well. So that's totally good.
There's really not a format to the show. It's just two people talking about the shit going on with them. And that's maybe why it works. So, okay, let's just keep talking about it then. So what happens next? You're kind of getting this amplifying set confirmations. And so now you've seen it in the video. What kind of stuff happens next that comes to mind?
Like after this video, you mean?
Yes, that's what I'm referring to.
I actually had a hard time with it. I mean, like a part of me was super joyful and very excited, and a part of me, it just caused a kind of a freeze in my brain and an error, and I just couldn't make sense of it. So I had a little hard time when this happened, when I saw this footage. But the energy went strong, like the day after as well. So the day after, it would be my last day in Portugal, and I forgot to tell that as well. I remember right now, like the day before this video, I had
hold on a second. Your audio has cut out. Hold on. Gotta fix that. It's so strange. Say something again.
Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, go ahead. So your last day in Portugal?
Yes. So yeah, the day before this video, I did a ritual, and I said goodbye to actually an old part of myself, and I welcomed a new part of myself. And this goodbye was more like energetically, spiritually, but it was also simultaneous closing a chapter in this house on the mountain because the next day would be my last day. No, I had 2 more days. So the day of this video where we talked about and one other day. So the next day, the day after this video, I woke up again and I felt again guided what to wear. That's really weird. Like, wear this and this, and take some water with you as you will not come back to the house for a while. Take some water, take some food, and you have to walk to that tree. And I was like, oh, okay, that's very specific. And I listened and I followed the signals and I walked to the tree, which I've been guided to. And I sat down and I already felt tears coming up. Very intense moments I had. Some trauma, past life trauma came up, and for the very first time I saw like okay, I know this doesn't sound strange to you, but it still feels a little weird for me to say it aloud. But I saw myself going back into a lifetime where gnomes were there and like kind of tree beings, and suddenly there was some darkness. Forgot the name in English of these big insects, but there were some big insects in the sky, and these were quite dark with beings on top of it, and they were causing so much damage of the land. So every like creature has to run, and it was like a very unsafe moment. So it was like an old trauma what I felt. And before I could really deep into this trauma, I heard my guide saying again, like, you have to record a video. And I was like, I don't want to. I am crying. Why I should record right now? And he was very firm and like, no, you have to record a video. You have to do it right now. I was like, no, I don't want to. Yes, you have. It was really funny, but at that time I was like, okay, if you really want me to, I will do it. And I just put my phone till the first tree I saw and just put on record without really taking care of my position. And I was like going through the trauma, crying, and suddenly I felt really a big insect on my upper back. And it felt like a huge insect, and I instantly knew this is not an insect. It was like, oh no, it was almost like, how can I explain this feeling? Like if you put something vacuum, it felt like it was like vacuum. Is that the right word in English? I'm not sure. Vacuum.
Yes.
Okay. So I felt like it was like take, not on a bad way, but like swirling and vacuuming my energy on my upper back. And my first normal response was moving it away with wave it away with my hand, as you normally do if you feel something weird on your body. But before I could do that, my guide said, don't do that, just surrender into this. And I did. After that, like maybe a few seconds after that, I heard a sound coming from this being. And it was a very strange sound, like it sounded like bloop, 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 like that. a very uncommon sound. And I was looking around, like, is there someone here? But it was like I lived far away on top of the mountain, no one there. So then I was inviting this being to come sit on my hand. So I reached out with my hand and I was asking the being to sit on my hand also because then I could see it. And now it's on my upper back, so I couldn't see it and it felt a little off. I think when it flew away, I immediately knew it wasn't on my upper back anymore, but I couldn't see it on my hand. So I was like, okay, it's not here anymore, but I could feel the energy still. And that was the moment of my second encounter, and I didn't had the courage to watch the video back immediately because I knew there was something there. So
No, it's okay. Hold on. Your audio cut out again there. So fucking interesting. Just a moment, please. Can you say something again, please?
yes, of course.
So weird. Your audio has cut out 3 times during you speaking to me. And I'm going to do my best to leave that in there for the audience to pick up.
Yeah.
And mine cut off once and the power went out in my house.
Wow.
What did you see in the video when you did watch it later?
Yes, when I had the courage to watch it back, I saw something what looks like a bee. And it was really it was actually sitting on my hand, but I couldn't see that with my physical eyes. And in the beginning of the video you see like a very small bee, and it's like circling around and it's really making selfies of himself. It just flew right into in front of the camera and showed itself. And it's I just know it's not a normal bee. It's not an earthy bee, but it looks like an earthy bee. But it's a little. I had another encounter with a bee, and there you see obviously it's not a bee. But this bee doesn't look really off, but because of my experience, what I had, I just know it wasn't like it wasn't something familiar.
You would have noticed a bee at the time of filming. It wouldn't be something that is exclusively noticed on watching back.
Yes.
That part is interesting as well. Also, I mean, this episode is out of control. Like, short of like all my lights flashing like it's a poltergeist movie, you know what I mean? Like, the computer is like glitching left, right, and center. I can barely sit still. I get a bunch of fucking like energetic hits as you're talking. And I'm also trying to kind of just like unpack you and interpret you a little bit as I listen, and as I do with all of my guests, you know, just quietly taking the person in as I'm listening. And I just have so many like interesting thoughts in my head. I'm really enjoying this conversation. I got to say, thank you again, Hanneke, for coming on.
Yeah, amazing. I'm just super happy to be here, and the fairies are so joyful as well. They are almost coming through my mouth. I can just sense they want to.
I know what you're talking about. This is a rare time where I totally know that I honestly, I sound like I'm not my usual Jim here. I'm like basically fumbling over my words. because I feel compelled to like spurt out all these things that are coming to my mind. They're just so interesting to me. I'll try it. What's coming to my mind here? So it's like, you know, you're clearly like an unusual person in a beautiful way. And are you like, is that memory because you were once a Fae and you're having a past life memory of that time? I kind of feel like yes.
Yes.
Right. And so, and then that's all, yeah, they like that. It's like Las Vegas in my mind's eye, like bing, ding, 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 you know, like, and so,
Okay.
and then it's kind of they're just, you're still one of them, obviously. And so they're quite, whoa, boy. See, that one's heavy duty. Gosh, look at what Fascinating Fae has become. It's so fucking interesting. And there's lots of other people listening that are fairies too. Okay, yep. My God, this fairy companion of yours is intense. Hanukkah, my goodness, you're rolling with some peeps here. If I sound like I'm trying, like, this thing is right on top of me. Like, such an interesting.
It's still very present as I'm still sweating. I'm feeling very, yes. There's
And those are real videos. That's true too. What else is true here? I'm trying to like get this thing to shut up. Sorry, it took offense there. I don't mean shut up. That was interesting. It pulled back off of me for a second. Don't worry, I can handle it. Okay, it's back. That's so weird too. It's like it didn't want to make me uncomfortable there. That's so interesting. Okay, this kind of reminds me of like when I was talking to Percy and she pulled out her wings. It's on that level. Like this thing is so present and is not anything I've encountered before. So what do you make of it? I mean, do you think that you are, as I'm blabbering about, also, do you think that you're a fairy? How do you interpret this connection that you're having? I'm curious what you think.
Yes, wow. I still feel extremely connected with the Avalonian beings, with everything what is behind the veil. So my connection with fairies is very strong, but also with other like magical beings. And it's, for me, it just feels as the reason that I'm here, almost here, to connect the human race again with all the magical beings who are neighbors of us. And as I see the fairies as beings of hope, and I think the dream of humanity is, let's say my dream of humanity would be to create a realm again where we can live with each other, like without any veil between humans and other beings.
You're a great person to do that work. I'm sure you're being chosen for a reason there. I gotta say, I don't know if I'm just getting too close to the subject matter or what, but like I said a minute ago, this episode is just out of control. Like it's totally not the way I would have expected it to unfold, for one. And that's great. I love being surprised this deep into the game. So thank you for that. And what does it mean that fairies are allowing themselves to be photographed and video filmed? And like, what does that mean exactly? And what comes next as we all continue down this path of educating one another and enlightening one another? I know Ruby said we're like lighting each other's candles, which she's pretty eloquent sometimes, Ruby. And so I like to steal that one from her. And I totally feel lit up having talked to you after what has been a pretty kind of low month for me. So I appreciate that after talking with you here too. I'm also like kind of low key in awe of you, because I really recognize like what you said about, 20, 30 minutes ago about trying to integrate that understanding at first, and not exactly having an easy time with it. And I can hear how it's evolving for you in the year that we've been chatting, into the perspective you have now.
Yes.
I really admire and applaud that desire to basically bridge that gap between the veils and the worlds, and the fact that you're confident in the existence of both, and that you're confident in the way you want to do your work and why, is still stuff that I honestly like have a hard time with. I'm the guy doing this show. Everyone like looks up to the show, but truly I'm like it's maybe more confused than when I started, because as many good things as come from doing the show, there's also lots of challenging things in the show's orbit as well. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Half of the show, if not more than half of the show, is the story about how people deal with these encounters. How do you carry on now that the world has been revealed to be largely an illusion and deeply magical, especially in the face of things that are not good about the world that we're also living in. It's very dualistic, so.
Yes.
I'm encouraged to hear your stance. I mean that. I'm not just like blah blah blah. I feel you. I feel real strong kinship energy from the Fae and with you. And for what my opinion's worth, keep doing what you're starting to do. I think you're going to have a good success with it. I really do.
Thank you so much for your beautiful words. It almost gave me a tear. I also, it's what you are doing is so big, and you are creating such a big stage for people to speak about this, about their experiences, and your energy is very important in this. So I felt really drawn to be here. So thank you as well. And yeah, I totally, the confusion is still there sometimes in my brain, and actually it was there yesterday even. And when I had another being on my camera, and I just was confused if it would be a mosquito, a very, very large mosquito then, or something else. And sometimes it's still very confusing. But one thing what the Fae really learned me after a certain event is to let go of wanting to understand it, and seeing the love and the beauty in the mystery. So that was a very important process for me.
Yeah, letting go of trying to understand it is the single hardest part and the biggest key, actually. I think you're very, very poignant there. I think that's extremely well said.
Yeah, it's not always easy.
And that healthy skepticism that you have on display, keep it up too. It's an important part of being a good communicator and advocate in this space, is recognizing that it is basically 100% uncertain. However, there are hallmarks of true encounters, and some of them happen tonight, which is that undeniable sensation of presence, which almost transcends into physical contact and is paired with a non-internal production of emotion where you feel something happening, like I feel uplifted, you're feeling sweaty, I'm feeling dizzy. I'm not doing those things internally. That's byproduct of contact. And you can easily delineate between your imagination and real contact. And so for you, I would just encourage you, when you look at a picture and you're asking, is this your real photo or a photo of an insect? Follow that intuitive response that overcomes you as you contemplate those images. And that'll lead you pretty much 100% of the time to the truth here.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my opinion, there's no doubt that you're taking images of them. For sure, this conversation confirms that for me. And you know, that like you're joining a really interesting club. Liz Webb, who's taking the most amazing orb photos all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Brooke Morrison, who's starting to come forward with some really interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, a couple of new members to the Facebook group have sent me some photos. Incredible. Therese and Bonnie, I mean, Therese has got this one picture of this like clearly humanoid man standing in the leaf matter of a potted plant.
Wow.
And I often say on the show, like what I saw kind of looked like, I knew it was female and it just was like, but it was kind of indistinct. And when you look at this little green man that Therese took a picture of, you can, it's very, very evocative of what I saw. Like you can tell it's a man, but there's nothing about it that specifically says this is a man. You can just tell by the stance and the body, I guess.
Oh, wow.
And it's you know, and like, I'm kind of rambling here a bit, but I guess it's just been a really interesting moment in the show with regards to film and video of fairies.
Yeah, but it totally makes sense. As I guess she wants me to say this, but I'm still a little hesitating. So I guess 3 days ago something new happened, and suddenly I started to, like a Fae being, you know, trans channeling.
Yes.
So yeah, a Fae being came through my body and began to speak through me using my throat area, and I gave permission before the being started doing that, and she introduced herself as Anastasia or Anastasia, and she was talking about the different types of the Fae, and she was talking about two types of baby Faes, like more the insect Fae and the plant Fae, and then the third type is herself as the Fae on the video we talked about. That's like Anastasia as well. And the fourth type, she introduced me today to them, and she said, like, these are green little persons. Yes. And now you're talking about it. So yeah.
Okay. Like, honestly, going back to 2019, someone told me they saw a fairy, I would have called bullshit. Now I host this show. Like, and 2 years in, people are starting to talk to me about like what you just said, they're trance channeling. Again, like I'm literally the kind of guy who would be like, fucking bullshit.
I can imagine it, yes.
But I fucking believe you, because whatever that entity is tonight is trying to talk through my mouth, like you're talking about. I've been fumbling all night with it. I can feel it like you're talking about.
Yeah.
at least twice in this show, I like, like I said, just kind of went off the rails and started talking about shit that was coming to my mind randomly. But it's a feeling of total pressure in the throat and mouth that I'm experiencing in association with the presence of this entity. It's interesting that you've named it Anastasia. It's so interesting. Anastasia, let's just call it for a second, has been here this entire conversation. Like, currently at my right, directly at my right, I feel like if I could just make my eyes do what I want them to do, I could fucking see what's there. It's so interesting to talk to you tonight. I don't even, I've lost track of this episode. I've listened to everything you've said, but I've kind of low-key forgotten a lot of your storytelling tonight because I've just been trying to grapple with the sensations I'm tangling with as we talk.
Yeah.
But I think it makes sense that I was so locked into that picture. Before we started talking, I was looking at this picture from Therese for like 40 minutes. And I just kept thinking, like, what is that if it's not what it is, And it's so interesting that she says that she's like, what's in your video? Because
Yes.
what's in your video is fairly evocative of what I saw as well. In terms of size, diminutive size, and like the wing stance. So I wonder, like, if that's true, like if there's actually an ecosystem of these things that is very big and like a human ecosystem on Earth. Like we have so many different plants and animals and fauna and flora. Is the Fae realm fully articulated just as biodiverse as Earth? I wonder, like I really am starting to wonder.
Yeah. That's a very good question. I wonder that too. I think it is very diverse, as Anastasia said. Like even this like third type, as she like the type of the fairy on the video, as Anastasia is as well. She said like we have many different way of looking as well. So the only thing she mentioned is like the two types of babies, they don't have wings, and the third type, as she considers herself, they have wings. So, but other than that, they do vary in how they look. She told me that, but I feel a little weird right now. As I kept actually this as a secret to myself, and now I'm talking about it, but I feel like I don't have a choice. So of course I do have, but it's just flowing out of my mouth.
I totally and completely understand the sensation that you are describing. And for the audience listening, I hope that after 2 seasons of listening to me ramble on, you can also hear that I'm kind of having the same effect here tonight. That's so interesting. There's kind of an escalation that's been happening through the show production process this entire time. And tonight's episode is kind of interesting to contemplate. As I think about, like, is the show a vehicle for the Fae to come through? And what does that mean? And what does that look like? And is that why they're so playful around the show, let's call it? Tonight really feels like a yes to that question for me.
Yeah.
So something that I've been struggling with, and, I try to put these out every week, but I've been off for like a month or more. Because I don't know. I just want to make sure that I'm not getting myself too excited this time around, like I did in season 1. But as I think about what's going on here tonight, it's actually very exciting. This is exciting stuff to experience. I'm a lucky dude. I get to have fairy encounters regularly, it would appear.
Yes. Yes, it's like magic all the time at your side, I guess. and and somehow they just know how to interact with technology. Uh it's very interesting to me how they somehow do understand how it works.
Yeah, I not to get too far in the weeds, but I wonder sometimes how much of the technology came from them in the first place. Because
Yeah.
the tech is otherworldly when you really, excuse me, the tech is otherworldly when you really look at it and use it. You know, it's like these devices from Star Trek, you know, basically like
Yes.
micro computers in your hands that like can show visual imagery and bridge vast distances like we're talking right now. You know, it's like there is a magic to them that I
Oh,
think.
my goodness, Jim. Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead, but you do remind me on something.
Please, what comes to mind?
Yes, you were talking about these micro and like the technology, and then it dropped like into my brain like one time that I have seen something on the camera, and it really looks like kind of like a micro UFO, and I got the feeling it's like almost a sender or a to send and receive energy or information, as it just looked like it. Yeah, I actually can't almost I can't describe this. It was like black with gold, and it didn't look like a being at all, and it just had another energy on it.
You know what's interesting too is that I try to often describe like the the feeling of interacting with them, which is very non-linear. It's very euphoric. It's very roller coaster ride kind of feel, you know?
Mhm.
And tonight's conversation really mirrors and reflects that flow of connection. You can kind of feel it in this talk tonight. It's kind of all over the place. It's a little giddy, you know.
Yes, yes, totally,
They're
totally.
like that. Like when you're around them, that's what it's like. They feel kind of frenetic a little bit,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word. They're definitely pulsing at a higher vibration than us. And that
Hmm. Hmm.
contacting that, you know, modulates your frequency. That's obvious to me. So
Yes, totally agree on that. Yes, and I feel they are really, I mean, bridging us as well in this conversation.
yeah, to what extent I've hypothesized that they get fueled by these talks. I do feel that tonight. It's like they're urging, keep going, say this,
Yeah.
go here. I if uh, you were talking about how you felt guided to like wear a certain thing. I don't know if it's like just a contact high or what, but I am totally understanding that what you are saying is the God's word of truth because I can feel those sensations on my end. And I was not feeling that before I started talking with you. It's your entity showing me this is what she's talking about. Do you understand? It's like basically I'm
Yes.
having a parasympathetic experience of deep energetic empathy because I can also pick these things up just the way you can and the way lots of people can who are listening. Hi, audience. I know a lot of you can feel these things too. You're describing extremely accurately what I would do my best to describe about this thing, Anastasia, here in the house that I'm feeling tonight. It's so interesting. I know sometimes they come and visit, but tonight I know for sure.
Yes, I'm actually really, really glad that this is happening, as I feel I mean, I feel way more comfortable to open up myself and even speak about anesthesia. I guess it just, yeah, it just had to be here. Um, yeah.
Okay. Too cool. Too cool. All right, let's do this. Like I just feel this is me now. I feel compelled to say a few words here. For the audience listening, this is not your standard Fascinating Fae episode. However, this episode is clearly along a trajectory that this show has been taking. So, although it's an unusual episode, it's right at home. I do my best when producing this show to remain objective and analytical. At the same time, I don't want to lie to the audience by suppressing my own emotions and reactions to things that are happening as I produce the show. So I've said it a few times and I'll say it again. I do not blow smoke up people's ass. I talk to a lot of people and I don't publish their episodes. If I don't feel what I'm talking about, I'm not going to say it on the air and then publish it. I totally get you, and it's uncanny and it's unsettling, but I totally get you. So if that helps you feel more comfortable or whatever, good, because it's been a ride over here and I'm going to need like a day to recover from talking with you. I'm okay with it. It's just like, seriously, you're talking about what you're talking about, and I completely understand it at a physical level tonight here. So that's just, you know, for the audience listening, like, so that you do not at this juncture feel like the host here has been carried away and I've lost myself. I actually just going to double down on saying my difficult to impress and sort of, you know, curmudgeon-y middle-aged white guy here tonight is pretty schooled again. Like, it's also so interesting that like as you're figuring it out and then we're kind of figuring it out together in conversation, and then everyone listening is going to get that same insight, clicking at the same pace. It's like, because what happens too is, I'll just say this, when we publish this, stuff will end up getting stronger for you again too, because you're going to have the collective consciousness of, you know, 1,000+ people listening and dreaming along with you on this. And that's when those like crossover events into real occurrences in the audience base, when listening happens, like people's power going out or objects moving or disappearing during listening experience. Watch what happens when you listen back to this and when everyone listens. This Anastasia character is going to be juiced up to the max, and you may get even further, you know, contact occurring. Maybe not. I mean, maybe that is all just conjecture that means nothing from the lunatic having a conversation with another lunatic, but I just don't think so at this point.
Yes,
like,
I think that too.
You know, but it's healthy to say, you know, just in case people think we've lost track of ourselves. Okay, now with that out of the way, for whatever that needed to be, I feel like that helps me get a hold of the episode here. Let me ask you next, do you have any other kind of events or occurrences that you'd like to talk about as we start to move towards, you know, gently coming to the end of this conversation here tonight? Before we do, though, if you've got anything else notable, please, by all means, you've got lots of my time still.
Ooh, there are so many different events. I don't think I need to talk about other encounters. But what I feel is telling something what Anastasia told me to talk about, and that has to do with their appearance, when they appear and disappear. She was explaining that they are looking for sheltering. So, or they find shelter in like lots of trees, for example, or they find shelter in portals where they can disappear and appear. And she told me, like, because nature is changing naturally, but also because of humans, that some areas are more easy for them to appear and to disappear. And I think it was just I think I needed to say this because she just wanted to emphasize how important nature is for them, to keep alive and to keep clean and to keep as pure as possible.
I know that you and I share very similar values when it comes to the world we live in. And I do think, like, not to be the preachy podcast host, but to what extent we can all consciously love this place and really treat it like we do love it. There's myriad benefits that are not just on the surface, like what Hannika's talking about here tonight. And, I think that you've done a very, very good job of bringing through the messages that they were hoping to have communicated. And, these episodes will live on forever as the understanding of this subject matter grows within people. People will find the show. They'll listen to this episode. Who knows how many years into the future. And you will always be able to look back and know that you're at the cutting edge of this stuff, along with everybody else I'm talking to. Really, the show is nothing short of sort of breaking new ground, even though it's old ground, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to this subject matter of fairies. And, you've done a really good service to yourself, to the Fae, to me, to everyone listening by coming on here and just being present and bringing with you your posse there, like your Fae companions. Like, that's a huge move. Like, you're walking in your power there doing that. I hope you can feel that. I hope you know that. I just want to reflect that back to you. Like,
Thank you so much. Yes.
low key, like I said, a little bit awestruck and intimidated by folks like you sometimes. So it's just really interesting to see how you walk in that skin. And I totally think that things are going to continue to escalate for you in terms of content. And, I wish you the best of luck and my camaraderie whenever you need it. I'm here as you go deeper in, because I would be interested to see what comes next for you. Which reminds me, as I segue here, let's not forget, you have recently started an Instagram where people can find these videos and some of your other imagery. Would you please give the audience listening that information now so they can find you?
Yes, yes, I do. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, I'm spreading my own experiences on Instagram, but more important for me is to create a community, a fake community, as you do as well. Just that would be lovely. So the name of the Instagram is Fairy Encounters. I think Fairy Point Encounters. I'm not sure actually. Fairy dot encounters. Yeah, Fairy Encounters. And yeah, it's brand new, but try to post once in a week some videos.
Amazing. We'll send a link to that so that even if we both remembered the actual address wrong, people can just click on the link. But it's a good place to mention that that's where your efforts are finding a place to have focus. For me, I stumbled around in my head for 4 years what I should do with what I kept thinking. And then that's ultimately why I started the show. Instagram is a great place to start. wherever you branch out from there, I think will come naturally to you. And for anyone listening who wants to, add voices and community places, please do, because it's still the fairy subspace of the paranormal is pretty much the least represented one out of all of the topic headers. If you look up podcasts for UFOs, you're going to find thousands, literally. Sasquatch, hundreds. But then you go to fairies, you're going to find limited websites, Instagrams, or podcasts on the subject matter. So I encourage, the development of these resources, because more voices in chorus means that there's no heavy lifting on any one source. And I think that goes a huge way to advancing understanding, which is what the game is all about. So, okay. Gosh, I've really enjoyed this conversation with you tonight. And it feels somehow always cheap to talk, to throw an Instagram or
Yes.
like and subscribe at the end when dealing with this, because these are interdimensional entities that are fucking mind-boggling, and you're but just it is what it is. It's a great way for us to remain in contact and keep the conversation going, which is the point. No one is here trying to up their Insta followers to sell merch. You know what I mean?
No, not at all. And they just love to be. I mean, they are here so obviously, and they want us to speak about them. So that's the main reason.
And if we've learned anything from listening to the show, sometimes fairies are using social media. So it's not a bad idea to just be there for that reason alone, to invite that potential interaction. Okay. Well, this has been a wide-ranging and deeply fascinating conversation to jump back into the process of making episodes with. I can't thank you enough for that. Here's what I'll do now. As you know, I ask everybody who comes on the show the same question. And boy, am I ever interested to hear your answer. So, Hanneke, what do you think fairies are?
Yeah, I can only approach that question from out of my own experience and my own feelings, of course, as I still don't know. But for me, there are beings of pure energy, deeply connected to nature. Maybe even an expression of nature itself. And they seem, we spoke about that earlier, they seem to be drawn to a certain frequency. I mean, when I look back at a period in my life where I felt much heavier, during that time I didn't have any fairy encounters at all. So for me, that felt as a very contrast period, and as a confirmation that their presence is somehow connected to the emotional space you are in. I see them as very intelligent and very playful, and they enjoy surprises and confusing you a little. But I feel like they are like bringers of hope and aliveness. That's how they feel for me.
That's a great answer. Let me ask you a related question, which I don't often ask to guests, but in your case, I'll ask it. Like with Anastasia, do you think that they're all individuals?
Yes. Yes, they feel like individuals to me. Yes.
I would agree with that assessment.
Yes, totally. No, sorry. I just wanted to say I don't feel any doubts about it.
Yeah, I was going to basically say nothing different, which is that to me, I never question that these are individuals. And I would go so far as to say because I'm very analytical and I'm hyper aware, whatever, I have gotten to the point where I can kind of tell who it is based on their feeling
Wow.
when they're around. I certainly know when it's Grimble Grumble, like I know bang on. And tonight, what I was feeling when talking with you was distinct, differentiated, new to me.
Wow.
I don't know why, but felt kind of like light green also, which is really interesting.
Oh, that is interesting. Yes. I haven't seen how she looks like, so could be.
A very uplifting, almost verging into the color white kind of green, if that does any justice to it. But yeah, like I do agree with that assessment that they are individuals, which is maybe the answer I was hoping for. Usually I'm not expecting anything there. I will like to hear the different answers, but I was kind of hoping that you felt that way too. I do think a lot of people agree with that. Well, that's an important part to it, because it's not like this is a bunch of random earth energies. There's earth energies, that's real too, but this phenomenon that I'm trying to like pinpoint when I'm doing Fascinating Fae episodes is about like a group of people. Who the fuck are these people? What do they want with us? Where do they come from? What is our relationship to them? What is going on here?
Yeah.
Why?
Yes. I would love to talk with you about that another time.
Okay, well, that's a good invitation for a future episode with you. And as we carry on here, maybe season 3 will bring you back. But yeah, really, a truly deceptively interesting conversation with you here tonight. For the audience listening, I'm talking with this awesome person who sort of set an intention and then later captured a fairy on video, which is one of the most compelling video pieces I've seen. And this conversation with you here tonight is probably what I should have expected, actually, based on the quality of that video footage. You're in a really kind of lucky, special position that that's going on. And you're right about that frequency attraction. You got to get yourself kind of like up like they are somehow. Figure that out as a human, super difficult.
Yes.
That's why we're so out of touch with them, is because our lives are so, I mean, this planet is a wonderful garden, and it's also an extremely difficult, hellscape at the same time. And depending on your circumstances, you don't really have a lot of control over one of those or the other.
Yeah.
So the idea that, you just have to get yourself super up and now you can talk to fairies is kind of an infantile concept. But at the same time, there is a real truth to it. And so you have to figure out how to get through the difficulties of our lives and then find a way to exist in that higher frequency. They're asking a lot of us, is what I actually think.
Yes.
I don't know if you feel that way too. Like, I'm uplifted by tonight, but I'm like, come on, I can't maintain that every day, dude.
Oh. Yes. No, that's impossible to be in that flow and frequency all the time. And I don't think we have to require that from ourselves. And I think that there is actually the magic for me, like just accepting the state where you are in also if that's a lower state. And yeah, and this sounds, I actually hate this like new age spiritual stuff. But I've just noticed there is so much truth in that, just by accepting how you feel. And only by accepting and knowing that another day can be full with other moments, magical moments, opportunities, and whatsoever, it makes everything so much lighter as we don't ask and put the pressure on ourselves to feel better or happier or more magical or whatever.
That's also extremely wise. And I know earlier you mentioned that you were worried about your English, but you've been incredibly articulate and well-spoken here tonight. So no worries about any of that. I'm sure everyone listening will agree with me. You've been extremely well-spoken tonight. Okay, well, Hanneke, just out of respect for your time, and only for that reason, because I could literally keep talking to you for hours.
Same.
Let's move towards the conclusion here. Again, only out of respect for your time and the audience's time. And thanks for saying that. No, I really mean it. I could talk to you all night. And we'll talk again. But if it's okay with you, what I'll do is I'll spend maybe 1 minute just doing my podcaster sign off here. And as you know, I give all my guests the final word on the show. So if you want to contemplate your final words, I will just do my housekeeping if that's cool with you.
Yes, totally.
Okay, well, tonight you've been listening to Fascinating Fae, and I am your host, Jim. Where do I begin? I usually know what to say here. I know. If you have had an encounter and you'd like to be on the show, shoot me an email at encounters@fascinatingfae.com, which is how Hanneke got a hold of me. You can do that too, and we can eventually, talk for an episode a year later. I take my time. If people are, reluctant to come forward, it's usually worth it. So little back end there on the process. That's what happens if you email me. You can also shoot me a DM at any traditional social like Instagram, YouTube, and the like. And I can talk with you that way too. Yeah. And if you don't want to come on the show, but you still have something cool to share with me or show me, please do that. You don't have to come on the show just to get my interest going. I'd love to hear what's going on with you. Also, I recently started a Facebook group for the show so people can discuss episodes, which you can find on Facebook by looking for the official episode discussion group for Fascinating Fae. There's already a bunch of people there, and I'm sure if you like these episodes, you might like the robust conversation that's taking place in that group after these episodes drop. And that's it. That's my sort of longer sign off than usual. But I'm trying to direct more people towards that Facebook group because that community is starting to grow. And that makes me happy. So with that said, what I will say is that on behalf of all of our human and non-human listeners tuning into Fascinating Fae tonight, a super big thanks to Hanneke calling today all the way from Ecuador for coming on the show. Hanneke, thanks for being here on the show. I really appreciate it.
It was really a pleasure. I just love to be here, and thank you, Jim, for doing what you are doing.
Well, the show's nothing without people like you being brave enough to call in and add their voices to the pile. If you'd be so kind, I'd love to hear your last words as we go to sign off here tonight.
I actually feel like everything has been said right now. So yeah, I'm good.
Skyway, looking above me, the traffic flies in a perfectly straight line. Moving at light speed, shining so brightly, traveling nightly, all the way to the cities on the moon. stars so fast, so far. It's been a century since the last fish swam the sea. Stars so fast, so far. It's been a century since the last fish swam the sea. And maybe when it's done, we'll know why it begun. Until then, we will wait and cling to wisps of fate.